another episode of the Wonderlust Wealth Show. Today we have Chloe Kwon. She is a real estate investor and a developer with a passion for development and creative strategies. Now, the cool thing is we actually went to college together at Rice University, and it's so crazy because we both kind of just like ended up in real estate. But her background is actually in tech and as a data scientist. But she focuses on the build to rent and build to sell strategy in Austin, Texas, and is originally from Korea. So I'm so freaking excited to chat with you today, Chloe, and to share your story with everyone here on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk today.
Me too. Okay, well, so Chloe, before any of the real estate investing, like what were you doing? Where did you come from? How did you, and we'll kind of like go through the story of how you even decided to get into real estate investing. But before all of that, who was Chloe?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Seoul, South Korea. I was born and raised there until I was about 11. And then I was on a track to become either a doctor or a dentist. My dad's a dentist. And I had honestly, I had 8 tutors since I was second grade.
Oh my gosh.
Super competitive in Korea. So when you are in an academic environment, it's all about excelling. And I was I second grade, first grade, going to bed at 1 after back to back tutoring sessions, and I was on that path. And I remember thinking to myself that I was looking at my cousins who are already doctors and they were miserable.
Yeah.
And then I had a cousin who was woman, and she was even more miserable because she had to, take care of kids, be a doctor, just all of that pressure and all of the things that you have to do as a woman in Korea. I was just I'm going to be studying for next 20 years and for what? Right? Yeah. Living the life that other people wanted. It's not necessarily happiness is your priority. It's all about how do you have a higher status than other people? How do you make more money?
Oh my gosh.
Right? All of that. So I remember sitting my parents down when I was 11 in our living room. I told them I wanted to go study abroad. And at first they were like, why are you crazy? You don't speak English. We don't have any family there. What would you do? Where would you go? Do you hate us? Do you work in Korea? And I was like, no. I love you guys. I just think that there is a better way to live life than what I'm prescribed for, right? So I got on my first international plane by myself 6 months later. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I went to boarding school half of my life, ended up in Rice in Texas, and the rest is history.
Oh my God. Okay, that is incredible. One thing I really want to touch on is, so my parents are the same and I love them to freaking death, but they care so much about status, right? It's like, well, who has the nicer car and the nicer house and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I just don't care. I want to live my life my own way. I'm not comparing it to other people. I don't really care what other people are doing. I care about what I'm doing. Which is so crazy. And it's so funny because I think that's what really rolls into the need to be a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer. It's so that they can have that status symbol even for their kids, which I understand, right? It's a completely different culture. And it was so funny because even my parents were in town this last weekend and we were talking about how in their culture, hierarchy matters so much more. But then especially when you get into entrepreneurship and real estate investing and stuff like that, hierarchy just doesn't matter. Everyone's a person. Everyone's out there figuring it out, trying to do things. And it's that's why I love that side of things so much better.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. And so when you went to go study abroad, how did you get your parents on board, right? Because I think there are also probably some other folks out there, maybe they even want to move abroad with their spouse or with their kids or anything like that. How did you get your parents on board for that?
Yeah, I mean, it took a lot of persuasion, but also I was a pretty stubborn kid, so I knew that I was going to convince them eventually. But I think it's all about how you have like set the scene, right? So up until then, I was a pretty like a responsible kid. I got all A's, all that stuff. I think that kind of helped in making them feel a little more sure that I'm not just gonna go there and just party
Yeah.
all the time. And also it's like I think it took a lot of faith from them to send me abroad where we have no family,
Yeah.
living. Um, I think, I think also they saw that I was really serious about having a different kind of life, right? Like I always talked about, I'm gonna live this kind of life. I'm not gonna, live in the same way that other people did, sort of grinding without purpose, and just not happy. Right.
Yeah.
So I think they've heard that so many times, like for me growing up, that they're like, okay, this is happening. Like,
Yeah.
just get on board with it because there's no way that we're gonna convince Chloe to change her mind. Right. So yeah, I was on the plane 6 months
I
later.
love that. Well, so then when you went to Rice, were you on like a student visa or were you okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was student visa. Our family wasn't really doing well like financially at the time. Like we had lawsuits and stuff. That's a story for another time. My parents built like buildings as their side hustle. Yeah.
Oh.
So that was really kind of what sparked my interest in real estate. Of seeing them like failing, I
Yeah.
think, really gave me a lot of lessons learned, right? And also the value of like taking risks and like taking charge of like planning your future. And real estate was one way that they decided to do that. But that's why I was like working 3 jobs. Like I remember we were working at the same place at
Yes.
yeah, I was working 3 jobs all the time. I was still, obviously going to school and classes and stuff. But I think having adversity in your life, I do think that it sucks when you're doing it, like going through it, but it does make your character, right?
Oh, 100%. And it's so funny because like even when I chat with people who I can tell like they haven't really faced anything too horrible yet.
Yeah.
It's like there's just a different level of like knowing and understanding and growth that comes from adversity, right? And comes from having to just figure it the frick out, even if you don't know what you're, and that's what you need to become an entrepreneur or to get into real estate investing. Like you have to have that mindset that you're going to figure it out no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. That's 100% true.
Okay. So how did you first get started in real estate investing?
So I moved to Austin from Houston to go to grad school for data science. And I've already had like multiple people already bought their house, but I was kind of late, right? I was like, okay, I had to go to grad school. I had to like spend all my savings. So I had like $500 like in my account by the time I graduated from grad school. So I was like, the first thing I'm going to do when I get a job is to get a house, right? So I use all my signing bonus to put a down payment on a house.
Oh my gosh.
House act, like
Yes.
so basically, I already knew that I was going to house hack. So when I was looking, at properties, I was specifically looking for a value add, so something that I can fix up, and then also it has a good layout, so that I can sort of like, sneaky duplex it.
Yeah.
So that it has a different entrance because I was done having roommates. I had like 30 roommates growing up from boarding school. So I was like, no more roommates. And then also I wanted a big enough lot where I can put another unit, right? Like an ADU or a tiny house. So I ended up finding this house that I bought as a primary. And then I just renovated. It was a lot of like, before going to work in the morning, I was like scraping popcorn ceilings. I was cleaning up the floor, whatever they needed. I was like, we were like going to Home Depot at 5 a.m. to grab some guys. I don't even speak Spanish,
Oh my gosh.
It was really good because it was kind of a big project and I've never done renovation before. And it was good that you get sort of introduced and exposed to the grinding of managing subs and going through, your materials lists and your budgeting. And then I actually really like the whole process. Obviously, I didn't love the whole, working every single day part, but it was a good learning lesson.
Yeah, and it's always good to like start with the house you're living in, right? Because you feel this need to get it done,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, you're living in chaos.
God, no. Yeah, no. It was all done in a month. And
Oh my
like,
gosh.
wow, that was a good project,
Yeah. I love that. So, how did you actually buy that first property? Like, what kind of loan did you get? How much did you put down?
I just did a conventional. I did
Okay.
put 5% down.
Yeah.
I think because I was just new in real estate, I had like this preconceived notion that you need to put 20% down.
Yeah.
PMI is really bad, all this stuff. But also what I realized was like, my background is in data science, which means that like I love looking at data, period, right? I love technology. I love looking at data. And it seemed like from the trend, if I don't buy this now, let's say I only have 5% for a down payment, I'm like, no, I'm going to save until I have 20%. Next year, when you have a 20%, your houses appreciate and you can no longer buy the property, right? You might have to move out of the area that you want, all that stuff, right? So, yeah, so I put 5% down with the PMI, conventional loan. Yeah, and then I just use like a 0% like a credit card for 15 months, like to fund
Love that.
education.
Love that.
Yeah. And then also it's like I was like, I wanted to take, I didn't want to take like an unnecessary risk because, as like we as a woman, we are not the biggest risk takers, right? In terms of like how we're thinking about our expenses. So I knew that because I had a W-2 job at the time that I was certain that I can pay this off, right? In whatever time period it was. So in my mind, it wasn't very risky,
Yeah.
because I was going to live here. It was going to help with my living expenses. And also it was really good experience that kind of started my whole real estate investing journey.
No, I love that. I mean, it was the same thing for me because everyone, I think, whenever you're first thinking about real estate investing, your brain automatically goes towards 20% down.
Mhm.
But if you're planning on house hacking and you know that you're going to have the income coming in, it doesn't matter if you're paying PMI, number one. And then number two, just as you said, you're going to have to save so much more to get to that 20%. And by the time you get to that, you're probably going to be priced out and you're going to have saved even more than you would have had to save before. So it's like buy the property when you can.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I think buying at the right price is really important, right?
Yeah.
Because we all have like our dream house, right? And this house certainly was not my dream house.
Yeah.
Like, so different than what I thought. It had a 30 years worth of like smoke, like
Oh my
written
gosh.
on the wall because the previous seller was selling it as an estate sale. So yeah, so it was just really gross, but I could see the potential. And I think that's really important is that I got it at an amazing price. There were like 15 other offers somehow.
Oh my gosh. How did you beat out the other offers?
Okay, this is actually what I do every single time that I'm buying like a land or like a older house. So it was an estate sale. There were lots of people coming in because the location is great. The lot was pretty big. And then so it was a estate sale. The mom has passed away. She single mother, raised her 3 boys in this very house, right? So they actually, all the 3 boys, they're in their like 30s and 40s now. They came with their like, wives and kids and whatever, and they were just sitting in front of the house and nobody was talking to them, right? And I always make a point to talk to either seller or seller's kids or whatever. Like I do this for every single
I love
house,
this.
if there are there. So I just started talking to them. I was like, hey, like how long have you guys lived here? Like, what was your experience like growing up? Like, just tell me about your life story. And none of them even live in Austin. They don't know the value of like this property. They just want to get rid of it. And at the end of our conversation, the oldest son told me, I like you. I'm going to put my Asian to pick you. Uh,
Oh my gosh.
no, it's crazy, but people do things for people that they like, right?
Well, that's the thing. Real estate really is a people activity. It's all
Right.
about relationships. It's all about who you know. I remember last night I had a coaching call with my students in the Wonderlust Wealth Academy. And one of them, she's a lawyer and she's acting as her own agent, but she hasn't like gone through any agent training. So I was kind of coaching her through like, you need to talk directly to the seller. And even if you're going through the seller's agent, but you have to understand really like, why are they selling? Like what are their pain points right now? What are things that they really like need from the sell? That way, or from the sale, that way you can come together because it's all about connections. It's all about relationships. And the more you can, and I always tell people too, put an offer in on a house, even if it's like overpriced, right? Because you don't know, because you kind of already created that relationship, started talking to the seller. 5 months down the line, if they haven't sold, they're going to come to you first. Like it's always about relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is definitely so true. In real estate, it's all about people. It's all about how they perceive you and also like you saying what you say you're going to do and creating
Yes.
that trust, right?
Completely. Okay, so you get that first house hack. Do you end up building an ADU on it or do you not build an ADU on it? How did that go?
This is, you never know what you don't know until you
Yeah.
do know. So actually, after that, I actually bought a beach house in Florida with.
Ooh.
So I was, and it was like during COVID, right? So I was living renovation with all of our animals in Florida, and then
Yes.
decided to buy a tiny house because I was like, I'm gonna just like cash flow this thing. It was gonna be an amazing cash flow play. The lot was pretty big, so I actually designed all of my tiny house, and they, brought it. I knocked down my fence, I built it, I got permitted, which took a very long time, structure engineers and all that. And so while they were doing that, I was in Florida and I get this email from one of my neighbors that I didn't really know. And he was like, "Oh, did you know that there's deed restriction and you can't do
Oh.
this?" Yeah. Because, and it was like now I know how to search for it, but back then I didn't know that. So when you actually buy the property, you get a title insurance like report, right? So the title company pulls all of your information, all of the information about the property, including what you can and can't do, that is dictated by deed restriction. For this, they just say, look at this document. They don't actually send you this because
God.
now I know, because of the age of the home, you actually have to go to the court and then like go look at the microfiche, like the things that like all those
Mm.
things. So they're not available online. You have to actually go. I didn't know that because I was just starting out.
Well, yeah, completely. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was just like a very stressful 6 months
Uh,
of us going back and forth. I
well,
host.
and you got the permit for it.
I
So they
know. I
gave you the
got
that's
permit.
crazy.
Yeah, but deed restriction trumps everything, right? So, note to your audience, like every time you buy a property, make sure to look at deed restrictions because you'll be very surprised at what you can and can't do. Like,
Yeah.
some of them are very outdated. Like for example, not mine, but the house across the street has a deed restriction. Obviously, it's not enforceable, but like they say, you cannot have an African American living here.
Okay, oh my gosh, it's crazy that you say this because I have a friend who just bought a boutique hotel
Yeah,
solely, I don't know if you know her, in Palm Springs, and they were under contract for a while because they also had a deed restriction like that, like this isn't accessible to like African American, like
yeah,
this, even though it was a hotel. I'm
yeah.
like, that is insane.
It's
Insane.
obviously not enforceable,
No,
right?
no.
But there are certain things that you have to do, and people can make a fuss about it, especially my neighborhood, where they're very against any kind of new people development. They're
Mm,
very against it, right?
yeah.
Living here since the 70s. So, yeah, it's just really crazy what you will
Yeah.
find.
So but you still run it as like the sneaky duplex situation.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. And so
So
what strategy are you using? Is it long term, short term, midterm?
Yeah, so I did both short-term and midterm rental.
Mhm.
Right now we're doing mix
Yeah.
just because I want to maximize and optimize like the cash flow that's coming in. And what I realized was like, I hate property managing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
it's not what sparks my
Yeah.
joy. It just makes me burn out like crazy. Yeah, so I have a property manager now who does both like midterm rental and
Yeah.
short-term rental. So it's been an awesome help.
I know. That's like I am currently in the process of hiring a full-time VA team to
Mhm.
handle literally creating a whole new like Airbnb profile that is connected to a Google Voice number so that they don't have to bother me and like going through the
Yep,
whole thing. Because yeah,
yep.
property management is not what sparks my joy.
No, I doubt it sparks a
Oh,
lot of people's joy, but yeah, it's just it like
yeah.
really kills me. My all my like bandwidth just goes to that, right? So
Yes.
you can't really think about the bigger vision and future if you're just boggled by like, oh my God, this person is like really bad.
Completely. No, I 100% get that and I fully support it. Okay, well, so now, so you started house hacking. You buy this short-term rental, I'm guessing, in Florida.
Hmm?
Is it a short-term rental? Okay. And then so how do you start to get into the, you know, new development side of things and like the construction side of things? Because that's what like I know I've been seeing a lot of your posts and there are these beautiful new constructions and different designs. So I'm so excited to hear more about that.
Yeah. So when I started real estate investing, it was right before COVID. So I bought the house, the first house, right? And then after that, Austin was going crazy with, especially
Sure.
a lot of Californians are moving here. And then they saw that, oh my God, housing prices are so cheap.
Yeah.
Let me overbid, 100K, 200K over so that I can get this house. So it basically very inflated the market and the market value of these properties. So my initial goal was like, I was going to just do the same thing, right? Buy a house every single year, put 5% down up until, whatever, number 10. And I was going to renovate it and then possibly do like a burst strategy, right? That all went out the window when houses were just like doubled in like 2 years. So I couldn't do that strategy anymore. So I started, well, it was during COVID, so I couldn't really go to any like networking events, but I like
Mhm.
started listening to tons of podcasts about different asset classes. I love numbers. I love underwriting. So I started underwriting for all these different strategies and asset classes that I've like heard about and was doing research and I was reading about. And then, a lot of these things like just didn't pan out in terms of numbers. And I knew that I wanted cash flow. I wasn't so tied up with like appreciation because I know it's going to appreciate,
Right.
especially in a market like Austin. But I needed a cash flow because property tax in Texas is pretty high. So I was like, oh my God, like what strategy am I going to do? And I landed with development because I was talking to few developers that's based in Austin, both the residential and like multifamily side.
Mhm.
And they were just kind of explaining the, like their, the process. And I was like, like, I don't know, like that doesn't
Like
seem
I could do that.
bad. It's hard. But also my thought process was if it has a really high barrier to entry, then if I learn this skill set, then whatever happens, like there's not that many other people competing for it. And things like that, right? So I was like, okay, let me just do this, but let's see, like just the first one. Let's see if I can do it, right? So that's how I got started with the build to rent model. And then, yeah, it was just, people don't tell you how much of a decisions you have to make when you're
Yeah.
renovating or building. But literally, I like made with my business partner made all the decisions from like flooring to where the staircase is going to go with architects to where the front door is going to go. What does backyard look like? Where is it? How is the tree going to be? Placed. All that stuff. Which was really cool. You get to create something of value from nothing,
Yeah.
right? From ground up. And I think it was really cool to see that, oh, this house is going to be here in 30 years, 40 years. I'm going to drive by and say, hey, that's the house that I built, right? So it's kind of like
Yeah.
legacy. Yeah. And I love Austin. So, just the idea of like, creating something of value, a space where a lot of people would enjoy the space, create lots of memories, and it was just a really exciting idea. So
No,
yeah.
I love that. And I love what you said about the high barrier to entry, right? Because I think with the first property, a lot of people kind of do what we did, right? It's the house hacking, it's try to find something super affordable, ideally not super expensive, and kind of go that route. But it's like to stay competitive, you really do kind of have to find an asset class that not everyone and their mother can do, right?
Right.
That's when you get to the point where, oh, the numbers stop being able to work and yada, yada, yada. So, like, for example, right now I'm going into the luxury short term rental here in Denver. And the barrier to entry is really high because number one, in Denver, you have to house hack it in order to short term rent it out. And so there just aren't that many like large, like luxury short term rentals super close to the city. So that already takes out such a big part of the competition. So it's like always thinking, okay, what is my competitive edge here? And building is such a big one because that intimidates so many freaking people because it does require more work.
Absolutely.
I love that. So I guess with these properties, I have a few questions. Where are you buying them? Like, how do the margins compare to just buying a regular property that's out on the MLS?
Yeah. So, I mean, I bought land from MLS. I
Mhm.
started from an MLS because I just didn't know what I didn't know. I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
I've also bought it from wholesalers.
Mhm.
Um, Usually, I mean, it depends, right? Even if you buy land from like MLS, there's still room for negotiation, right? So, I the first land that I bought, there was like an old house there. We were able to negotiate it down like 50K, right? So that's creating equity instantly. Um, and then the second one, I think I bought it from wholesaler. And they've all appraised like at least 70 to 80K higher
That's amazing.
than what we bought it for, right? So it's you can definitely negotiate even on MLS properties. And also think about it, like most people that you know, they're not buying these houses.
Yeah.
It's not like we're like coming in there and being like, "Oh, we're gentrifying this neighborhood."
Right.
Oh, shut up. Like normal people, like retail buyers, they're not buying this because they're inhabitable.
Yeah.
Meaning like you can't buy this with a conventional loan. So there's no one that's going to buy it, and the seller needs to sell because they can't afford, expenses and property taxes and whatnot. So it's kind of like how do you create a win-win situation for the sellers and myself, as well as having low enough cost basis so that building cost is justified, right? And then also, I always try to buy on the path of development, not
Ooh.
necessarily where it already developed, right? So, for example, I'm in East Austin and 78702 zip code. There are already multi-million dollar houses in this zip code. So I was like, okay, where do I buy it? That's going to develop in 2-3 years of time, right?
Yeah.
So, like my first property, still the same zip code, but it's on the other side of this main street. So that like right now,
Yeah.
actually, there's lots of bars and restaurants and whatnot. But when I bought it, there was nothing.
Okay, y'all, do I have something exciting for you? Now, I just came out with a brand new free training on exactly how yes, you can get started investing in real estate within the next 3 months. Because if you're someone who wants more freedom in your life, the ability to travel the world and do the things that you actually want to do in life, you're going to want to listen up. Trust me. Now, this training is freaking awesome. I literally go in and spill the tea on the number one strategy that is working right now, like literally today in today's market. And I go over how to look at deals and make sure that they actually cash flow and how to set your properties up so that you can run them from anywhere in the world. Like I literally have managed my properties from over 6 different time zones. So if you are stuck in analysis paralysis, you don't know where to start when it comes to real estate investing, but you know that it's something that you want to do in the future, this training is going to be for you. So to check it out, click the link in the show notes or DM me the word hack, like HACK on Instagram, and I will send you the link. Now let's dive back into the show.
Oh
Right?
my gosh. Literally exact same strategy. I did the same in New Orleans. And even with this house I'm in right now, it's like it's really close, but
Yeah.
still there's a lot more development to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't wanna be the most expensive house on the neighborhood. I wanna be
Mhm.
the cheapest house on the neighborhood so that when I build something, it has a room to appreciate, right? I
Yes.
think which is really important.
No, I love that. Okay, so you're saying you're doing the build to rent and build to sell strategy. So I guess what determines for you if you're selling versus if you're renting it out?
Like, they actually have a pretty big difference
Okay.
because, if you wanted to build to rent, meaning, like, after you complete development, you're gonna operate it as a either short-term rental or mid-term rental, some sort of a rental versus sell, they have a different audience, right?
Yeah.
Meaning they are gonna have a different way different finishes, way different layouts, way different everything, uh which needs to be decided at the plan level. So with
Yeah.
your architects, that needs to happen. And whenever you're looking at a layout, rentals and rental grade stuff and layouts are very different from the one that you would traditionally sell to, as a single family house to
Mhm.
a family or a young couple. Those are very different. So for example, for our build to rent model, what we decided to do is they in terms of so there's let's say there's 3 floors. I want to have maximize and optimize in a way that with the configuration you can rent out different units in a separate ways. For
Mhm.
example, you can like for our the one of the properties, I've included external staircase that usually you wouldn't include in like a built to
Yeah.
sell model, so that you can just rent out master bedroom separately when it's like a low season, or so that you can rent it out to midterm rental, traveling nurses. During the high season, we open up the whole thing, and then also there's like 6 different configurations that you can do, so that you can literally create different, let's say, Airbnb profiles with different different configuration of
Yeah.
this so that you can maximize, because not every single there's definitely seasonality in Austin, and you just want to maximize and how much revenue you're making, and number of bedrooms definitely determine how much you can charge per night. And not necessarily a bigger property is going to make the most amount of money
Yeah.
if you're looking at different seasons, right? So that's, I would say, how our properties are different for midterm rental. I mean, build to rent versus build to sell.
Yeah, I guess so how do you choose, okay, this one we're gonna make it one to sell versus this one we're gonna make it one to rent?
It depends on where it is, first of all. So if there's lots of like walking distance stuff, then it's a better for short-term rental.
Yeah.
Versus, I think a lot of people who are looking for primary home, they want it in like a quieter residential street,
Yeah.
where not a lot of other things are happening. They want their neighbors and quiet and secluded. So location definitely makes a difference. Two, it also depends on how you're underwriting. So when I'm underwriting for like a piece of land for development, I always think about like underwrite for different types of use cases, right? So that certainly makes a difference because I don't know in Colorado it's the same way, but in Austin, depending on which street you live, they might have a different property tax rate. So
Mm,
current street has a higher property tax, meaning like in order for you to cash flow, like sometimes it just doesn't make sense
yeah.
to do that. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons. Another reason is if you have an investor, which I built like first few out of my own pocket, and I was like,
Yeah.
my money does not go that far, and I was
Right.
yeah. It also depends on the investor preference. A lot of investors, they don't want their a chunk of cash tied for more than 3 years, 5 years,
Right.
right? So for them, it's built to sell is definitely more favorable, so that they can get the returns that they need to. Yeah, so it's just different things, and then also the availability of your builders, right? Sometimes builders are really really busy. And sometimes, depending on when it is, your costs dramatically fluctuates.
Yeah.
Right. So depending on that, okay, during COVID, like the metal prices and lumber prices went through the roof, right? So it's like, okay, how do we optimize in a way that makes sense in terms of cost basis?
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that you have to think about when you're building.
No, I love that. And that's such a good point. So, and it's so funny too, because so many people, you see all the people online, right? And they're like, I got 30 properties in 2 years, all right? It's
Right.
just like, you don't realize so many people are partnering, right?
Yes.
Because your money runs out at a certain point, and it's figuring out like what you want your strategy to be. Because for some people, it really is the just buy a property a year, totally happy with that. It funds my lifestyle. I'm good. Versus some people love real estate just as an asset class in general and really want to be involved and do things like rent to build or whatever, or build to rent, all of these other strategies. It's just figuring out for you what strategy makes the most sense.
Mhm.
If you're like, I want to scale a ton, it's probably going to be easier to do if you have investors with you.
Right. Yeah, I think certainly I didn't know how prevalent partnering with other people worked, or in real estate, and then also like OPM, right? Other people's money.
Mhm.
I didn't know when I was getting in. It is certainly as you scale and grow the sizes of your deals, you have sometimes you just there's no way that a one person other than like family offices can afford to buy like a $30 million apartment complex, right?
Right.
So it definitely makes sense to syndicate or partner with other people like JVing, and makes sense. Um, I would say though there are different I guess lessons learned, right?
Yes.
Because I've also partnered with many other people. They're all women, believe it or not.
I love that.
Because I think it's really important that like women feel empowered to start investing in their own, future. And I think real estate is certainly something that they can be really great at.
Yeah.
But I think what I didn't know was when you partner with someone, obviously your accounting or your books have to be really tight because it's not just your money, it's someone
Yeah.
else's money as well, right? So when you're looking into sort of that, the period of stabilization, so meaning like let's say you built a house and then you turn into a rental, it's going to take some time for you to create enough cash flow to build reserves, right? And the owner distribution comes after that.
Yes.
And it's, when it's just your property, you can be like, yeah, I don't need, whatever, 30K, 40K reserves. Like, I'm just going to take this and then, fund it for next property.
Yeah.
When you have a partner, you can't really do that, right? Because
Yeah.
integrity matters. Running a really clean, like accounting practice matters, right? So, especially if they're investors, because
Yeah.
they're very important. Their relationships are very important. So, that's something that you have to think about when you have partners is that you might not be able to see the cash flow right away.
100%. I love that you said that.
Yeah.
I love that because it's such a good point. And also, I always tell people for the first property, do not partner. Because
Yeah.
number one, you have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea how to manage money. And like that's what so many people, when they're first getting started investing in real estate, have no idea how to bookkeep, have no
No.
idea. And it's just
No.
like if you're playing around with other people's money, you don't know what you're doing, like don't.
Oh my God. 100%. And also it's like there's a lot to learn in real estate that's like little tiny things, right? That
Yeah.
if you haven't gone through that, you might not even know that that's an issue, right?
Yeah.
And when you're taking risks, like taking risks with your own money is very different than taking risks with other people's money. Like
Yeah.
I think there's like a responsibility if you're going to accept other people's money that you have to be very good at the fiduciary duty of reserving that capital and creating returns for other people,
Yeah.
right? And you might not learn as much. That's another thing is like, when it's just your money, like you're doing a lot of different things. Like I did tons of DIY projects at my house. Like if it was like an investment property, I wouldn't have done that, right? And I
Right.
wouldn't know that. Yeah, so I think there's definitely a difference. Yeah, and also it's like, why? I don't know. I would feel very uncomfortable if I didn't know what I was doing and accepting
Yeah.
other.
Okay, so I guess is there something from your background that you feel has like made you successful? Like something in particular?
I mean, I would say probably analytical skills. Because like it or not, I know a lot of people don't like math. It is not the most exciting subject, but everything in real estate centers around numbers. It's your underwriting is your power, and it's your money. It's directly applicable to your money. So like I think just being better at being good at with numbers, I think that has been a really big advantage like for me because I love looking at numbers, right? And data. And then also the data part as well. Because I can like code, like when I got started, I'm just doing a lot of different data analytics, right? Like scraping websites for data and then like be able to build some sort of like predictions or looking at, let's say, vacation markets, which vacation market has, the best like price to or the profit to price ratio, things like that. Be able to manipulate different data has been really helpful.
Yeah.
And I think it's also really exciting. I think that's literally like leveraging data is the future, right? With all these AI movements going. Yeah, so I think that's one. I think another thing is because I'm a first generation immigrant, I think the my perspective on how I think about struggles and obstacles and hard work, I think that actually served me really well because I wouldn't give up. I mean, like I've had worse situations or worse obstacles, and if I could figure that out, I can figure anything out, right? So I think that two things of just that resilience and grit, and then the math part and the affinity for math. I think that has helped a lot. And then also, I love people. Like, I love talking to people. I love meeting people, right? Like, I'm definitely, like, very E. So I think that helped a lot because I love learning from people. And I think in real estate, there's so much to learn that you wouldn't really have the opportunity to learn from different perspectives and different asset classes if you didn't enjoy talking to people, right? There's a limit to how much you can learn from reading books and listening to podcasts. Like you sometimes have to go and see what it's like right now,
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think those things definitely helped. And I would say I would add to that is I think for a lot of women, taking risks doesn't come naturally, but I think that it's kind of like a muscle that you exercise, right? Because buying properties or spending lots of money, that's scary for everyone. But you have to have faith in your numbers, right? So that's why numbers are really important, and also your ability that you can figure stuff out when shit hits a fan, like excuse my French, right? So yeah, so I think I definitely think that especially for women, just believe in yourself, right? That believe that you can figure things out and you are powerful and strong and smart. I mean, all of those affirmations, like I say to myself every morning, right?
Oh, yes.
Definitely
Completely.
helps,
I know I'm a big journaler and just, 100%. I just recorded a podcast episode actually about this property that I just got and how like I've been manifesting it for like a year now. But part of it, part of it's the strategy portion of it, but part of it is just the belief in myself that I could do it. And I knew that it was in my feet. Like I knew that it was happening. Regardless, I was going to make it work,
There's no other way. You're just visioning it every single day, and it will happen. It's so crazy. Manifestation definitely works.
Oh, I've gone so deep down the rabbit hole this year. Like I've been doing breath work and like going to seminars and all this stuff.
Yeah. I think, a lot of people think it's like real estate is like, oh, it's just like numbers game. It's investing, whatever that means. But I think a lot of it has to do it. And I know people are like, oh, stop talking to me about mindset. But it really is important.
Truly.
Right? Truly important. And how you can control your emotional state, I think definitely has an impact on how you can invest and what kind of state are you going to be in? Are you going to be happy? Are you going to be excited to be investing in these like properties, or are you going to be like, oh my God, I'm so stressed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Right. And that in itself is a hell in itself. Right. So
Completely.
you don't want to do that.
Completely. I love that. Well, Chloe, we are going to go into the 3 final interview questions that I ask every single person. So, number 1, what does your ideal perfect day look like?
Oh man, this is gonna show like how nerdy I am.
Love it.
So I actually quit my job last year, and I
So exciting. Amazing.
but you know, it has a caveat. Is
Okay.
that I've been doing a lot of soul searching, and I realized that I love learning.
Yes.
And I
Totally.
need to be learning. And I need to be doing, and I love tech, I love AI. I mean, that's what I have been doing. And I just get really excited about that. So, you know, my ideal day, if I can have an ideal day, it would be I would wake up doing the same morning routines that I'm doing, which is I wake up, meditate, and then I work out, and then I journal, and then I do like visualization, affirmation,
Yes.
that. And then I drink coffee and I hang out with my dog. And then
No.
I'm reading for like 6 hours straight.
6
And
hours? Oh my
I've
god.
never, I love learning.
I
Or I love
love
reading.
that.
I love just doing, you know, I think that's to me right now. I feel so grateful because I feel like I am almost living my ideal life.
Yeah.
Maybe not, doesn't have as many, you know, as much of a commas in the passive income era.
Yeah.
But I'm learning a lot. I'm reading lots of books. I'm reading, you know, listening to lots of like audiobooks. And I'm going to conferences. I'm going to retreats. I mean, like meeting new people that are exciting, inspiring. I came back a few months ago from like a private island that
Oh.
my mentor bought. She's a woman in her
Oh my gosh, freaking love that. That is a
Yes.
power move and a vibe.
Oh my God, yes. And that's the thing is that once you see that, I didn't even know that, you know, a person can buy an island, right? And hers is in British Virgin Island, right?
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah. So it's you know, once you see that, like, oh wow, that is possible. Like a woman bought it, immediately your baseline of how you think about what is possible immediately shifts,
Yeah.
right? So I love like having that kind of like experience of like, oh my God, didn't know that was possible.
Yeah.
But you can, right? I
Yeah.
thought the same thing about real estate. I thought the same thing about house hacking. I thought it the same way about development, right? But like you can do it, right? And
I
so
mean, that's why
yeah.
I joined like upper level mastermind, or like, for example, here in New Orleans, or not in New Orleans, I'm not in New Orleans, I'm in Denver. Here in Denver, I joined this like bougie entrepreneurship membership club in like the most expensive part of town just because I wanted to be
Yeah,
constantly around more wealth so that
right.
my mindset was like expanding every single day, you know?
No, I think, and it's so, I think, important, and also it energizes you.
Yes,
Wow.
completely.
Or just like living the life and
Yeah.
then making all this money, but like in a way that fits your life, right? So like I do see a lot of like very wealthy people that are not happy.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it's really hard to find balance in all of that. It needs to like be really intentional in how you're designing your life. And so I love getting inspired by people who are doing that, right? For example, her entire purpose is to stop human trafficking in the world, right? So we go rescue people from different countries, do undercover work, right? Offer aftercare, legal advices, you know, therapies, you know, shelters, all this stuff. And that's the thing is like I realized from last year of this hiatus that you need to have a bigger purpose than
Yes.
yourself, because this thing is hard. Real estate investing is hard. There's lots of nights where you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? Right. And if it's just for money, it's not strong enough, you know? So yeah, finding a purpose, very important. But
I
yeah,
love that.
surrounding by people, getting inspired, learning every single day, like that would be my ideal day.
So I guess, have you figured out what your purpose is?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been doing a lot of soul searching.
Yeah.
I think, my purpose is one, leveraging all my like innate skill sets that you're like what you're good at, right? That ikigai of like what you're good at that, the world needs. And I do think that's like partially, my background in like technology, right? That's why I'm like right now doing more AI stuff on my own in residential and commercial spaces. And then also like I've always been involved in human trafficking, like human trafficking efforts. Like I lived in Nepal, worked for basically in Nepal, women's rights are not constitutionally recognized. So there's a lot of women who are getting beaten, getting killed by their husbands or other men. So we were like rescuing women from these like situations and then giving them like secret shelters and legal advices and whatnot, job training. And then I saw a girl, she was like 5, I think, getting sold off by her dad on the side of a street. And then she was already sold by the time I came with the people. But I realized from then on, I was like, okay, if I don't do anything else in my life, like this is going to be my life mission, making impact in whatever capacity I can do to, rescue people from human trafficking. So I would say that's definitely my big vision. I wrote my eulogy while on that private island. Like dream big, right? You never know.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing, like you have to dream big, right? Because otherwise you're never going to get to where you actually want to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Okay, well, let's go to the last 2 questions. So the next one is, what is your mantra?
My mantra.
Yeah, or just something you tell yourself over and over again.
This too shall pass.
Yes.
I know it's kind of depressing, but
no, it's not, and it's so necessary. Like because like literally shit happens all the time. And it's so important to realize that like in a couple of days it's gonna pass and it's not gonna be a big deal.
Not gonna be a big deal. And I am it's like part of my affirmations, but I am destined for something great.
Yes.
Right. And whatever that great is, that's your definition of great. And it could be that, oh, I'm going to be the best mom that I can be. I'm going to be the best, whatever employee that I can be.
Yeah.
You can be the best real estate investor you can be. Right. My goal is to become the best investor I can be in whatever capacity and leveraging my wealth for the positive impact in the world. That's why I also started a podcast called
I love that.
Yeah, it's been so much fun interviewing different people on their journey for purposeful impact, right?
Yes.
And also building, making lots of money. It's not exclusive. You can do both.
I love that. I love that. And honestly, having a podcast is so fun just because you get to really dig it. I've had everyone from people I don't know to friends on here, and you start to dig into things that, you don't know about them and you don't talk about on a day-to-day basis. I'm like, this is just so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just like, I'm almost doing it for myself, right? I'm like, I have all the questions. I'm like, if I'm curious about this, other people might find value too. But I'm doing it because I'm curious.
Yes. I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so the last question is, what does wealth mean to you?
I think wealth is a tool to get to the life that you envision for yourself, whether that be, money enough for your family, whether that be creating impact, because you definitely need money in order to create impact and serve other people and make positive impact. And I think it's just a tool. Money inherently doesn't have any value on itself. You can buy things, but also buying things doesn't really bring you that much happiness is what I found. So, it's up to you to find whatever the purpose of that money is and what is that going to be used. So I think it's just a tool for your future.
Well, I love that. I love that. Well, Chloe, so where can people find you, maybe reach out to you if they have any questions or maybe they want to like invest in Austin, whatever that looks like?
Yeah. So the easiest way to contact me is through my Instagram. It's Chloe Kwon, so CHLOEKWON.RE. Or you can also listen to my podcast. You can just search Wealth and Impact.
Love, love, love. Well, this was so freaking fun. And I am so excited for all that's like to come for you. So
thank you so much. And I had so much fun talking to you today and catching up.
Thank you so much for listening to Wonderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member, or literally like anyone off of the street. Like right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.